Greetings, Poke fans! Michael here. Quick little bit of self-promo before the video gets started. If you are not already subscribed to my second channel, Michael Growth, I'd really appreciate it if you did so. I'm kind of in an experimental stage right now, trying out different kinds of comedy videos and other videos, so if you would head over there to subscribe and give me some feedback, that would be greatly appreciated. Pokemon is a game series that has been around for a really long time, and because of that, a lot of us have been playing it since we were kids. If you've ever been around a kid while they're playing a video game, most of the time they're pretty freaking bad at it. Now, Pokemon is not as difficult of a game as a lot of others, especially since most of the time it is marketed towards kids. However, even so, it still has a lot of complicated aspects of it that a lot of kids, and sometimes adults as well, are likely to screw up. I was feeling somewhat nostalgic earlier, so I decided to make a video counting down the top 10 dumb mistakes you probably made in one of your first Pokemon games. Now, of course, not everyone will have made every mistake on this list. I didn't make every mistake on this list. However, I did make some of them, and I think the chances are pretty high that you made at least one or two of them as well. Also, if you somehow didn't make any of the mistakes I list in this video, then we should probably just bow down and worship you because you must be some sort of inhuman god, because that's extremely impressive, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Before we dive into the video though, let me just take a quick bit to tell you about the sponsor for this video, Quidd. Quidd is a brand new app on both iOS and Android where you can collect virtual cards, stickers, and toys all for free. The cards and stickers you can get are from several different fandoms that I know you guys are a part of, such as Rick and Morty, Game of Thrones, Regular Show, Skyrim Morrowind, and much, much more. So it gives you a chance to have some cool collectibles for things that you normally really wouldn't be able to. Some of the stuff you can find is super rare, so you have the chance to find some really exciting things, and if you end up with duplicates, you have the ability to trade items with other users. Essentially, it's the fun of collecting Pokemon cards, but with different fandoms, and it's way cheaper. Also, they add brand new cards and stickers every single day. If you're interested in trying out Quidd for yourself, the link is down in the description below. Also, be sure to add me as a friend on there. My username is MNJTV, and start collecting some cool cards and stickers from lots of your favorite fandoms. But now that we've covered that, don't forget to leave a like on the video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And without further ado, here are the top 10 dumb mistakes you probably made in a Pokemon game. Number 10. Using only your starter throughout the entire playthrough. This mistake is one that I am guilty of. In my first two ever Pokemon games, Ruby and Leaf Green, I used only my starters, Sceptile and Blastoise respectively, throughout the entire playthrough. Now, while it is entirely possible to beat a game with just your starter, I have done it, it still is pretty much considered a mistake in my mind, because if you run into a Elite Four member or a gym leader that has an intense type advantage against your starter, even if you are way over leveled, it can still cause some problems. This mistake is one that I think is pretty common since it's just the easier thing to do. You just get your starter and you use it. You don't have to worry about catching and leveling up any other Pokemon. Also, I have heard of people doing this simply by accident because they didn't know you could switch who was the lead in battle. Number 9. Teaching a Pokemon multiple moves of the same type. A lot of times in the anime, Pokemon will know multiple moves of the same type, since it gives more variety in the battle sequences. However, in the games, this is completely unnecessary. A Blastoise that knows Surf, Hydro Pump, Bubble Beam, and Water Gun is a bad Blastoise. Coverage moves is something that's really important for a Pokemon to have, but unfortunately for a lot of people in their first playthroughs, they don't quite realize that and end up just teaching Pokemon several of the same type of moves. Number 8. Getting stuck at a certain point in the story and ending up with extremely overleveled Pokemon. I've heard many tales of this happening to several different people at several different points throughout their journey. It happened to me in my first Ruby playthrough when I couldn't beat Brawly, so I just grinded in Petalburg Woods for a long time and ended up with a level 29 Grovyle fighting a level 19 Makuhita. I feel like this happened a lot more often to players several years ago if you didn't have access to the internet or a guidebook, so if you got stuck and didn't know how to progress, what better to do than just grind your Pokemon? It's not really a severe mistake since you're just making your Pokemon better, but it does end up making the rest of the game pretty unbalanced. Number 7. Not knowing how to save your game. at all. So I never had this issue, thankfully, but I have heard of several kids just not understanding the concept of saving the game or not knowing how, so they would just play through the story until their Game Boy ran out of battery, and then would just lose all their progress and have to start over. This is a mistake I am very thankful I never made, because just playing through and then just having to start all over again, knowing that the end was coming, is that's just super depressing. Number 6, teaching bad HM moves to strong party members. Back when HMs were around in the main series games, which, side note, thank Helix they got rid of them, it is so much more convenient not to have to deal with them, you had to teach them to Pokemon to have in your party in order to progress through a lot of areas in the games. Now, while some HM moves like Surf and Fly are pretty solidly strong moves that are good to have in your party at all times, there are a lot of HM moves that are really weak and bad and should only ever be taught to HM slaves. However, many people don't realize this until it's too late and they end up with a Charizard that knows Cut, taking up a very valuable move slot that would have been much better to use for a stronger attack. Now, this mistake can be corrected if you find the move deleter and are able to delete one of your HM moves, but if in one of your first playthroughs you didn't know this existed, then, well, tough luck. Number 5, not saving before a legendary battle and then knocking it out. When I first battled Groudon in my first ever playthrough of Ruby version, I came up with the idea, all by myself, as a 9-year-old, to save before battling Groudon, and then if I screwed up by knocking it out or running out of Pokeballs or whatever, I would just turn the game off and turn it back on again and try again. And it is probably the best thing I've ever come up with, other than Pokemon Talk. Of course, I was not the only person to come up with this, and it is a widely used practice all throughout the world today. However, if you didn't know about that trick as a kid, one stray critical hit, and you lost Lugia forever. I do have to say, I appreciate that the later games got more forgiving with this, since a lot of people probably lost legendaries that really they didn't have to, and that's so sad. Number 4, releasing a Pokemon by accident. So Twitch Plays Pokemon did this many times, but I've also heard a lot of stories of singular people doing this as well. I've never really understood how people can make this mistake, because it does warn you several times, this Pokemon's gonna be gone forever, but whatever, I guess people just don't pay too much attention to the wording. I've also heard several stories of siblings or friends releasing Pokemon in your game by accident, and that is just, honestly, maybe this mistake should just be renamed letting someone else play your game. Number 3, using the Master Ball on a Pokemon you really should not have used it on. So this mistake is a famous one, and to not make it is actually one of the 10 commandments of Pokemon.
Number 2, thou shalt not use a Master Ball on a Tentacool, or a Rattata, or any of the sort.
Now, I never used a Master Ball on something that I should not have, because my Ruby and Sapphire guidebook warned me against it and said, this is the only one you get, use it on something good. However, some people didn't get that warning and ended up using it on a Pidgey, or a Zigzagoon, or a Lairon, and losing their Master Ball forever. Master Balls should only ever be used on roaming legendaries, and if there are no roaming legendaries, then use them on a legendary that is particularly annoying to catch, such as Tapu Fini with Aqua Ring.
It's just getting progressively healthier. Aqua Ring never ends. That is BS, Game Freak. I'm looking at you, Game Freak. This is BS.
I wanted to kill that thing. Number 2, running from or knocking out a shiny because you thought it was a glitch. The first shiny Pokemon I ever encountered was a shiny Electrike in my Ruby version. Now, I did fail that shiny because I ran out of Pokeballs trying to catch it, but I've heard several stories of people failing shinies intentionally because they thought their game was screwed up. Now, I can't be too harsh on people who make this mistake because, well, they did it out of ignorance, but even so, my heart hurts for you. Ugh, that would suck, finding that out later. Now, before we get to the number 1 spot, there's one honorable mention that I wanted to talk about, not because it's a mistake that I think pretty much any of you made, but just because I think it's hilarious. I stumbled on this comment on Reddit. Listen to this. On my first playthrough of Yellow, I got stuck trying to wake up Snorlax. I tried to use a nugget on it repeatedly. 6-year-old me didn't understand that these nuggets were made of gold and not chicken. it took longer than it should have for me to understand why Snorlax would not wake up for the delicious chicken nuggets I was offering it. So, kudos, friend, because that's probably the best childhood Pokemon mistake I've ever heard of. Number 1. Resetting your game for a stupid reason. I know of many people who restarted their save file for a stupid reason, and sadly, I am one of them. I restarted my original Ruby save file, including my first ever Pokemon, Blade the Sceptile, and I did it just so I could use it to restart it several times and get all 3 starters on my Sapphire version. So, that is regret that haunts me to this day. However, I have heard of several other reasons for doing this, such as thinking the poison overworld static stuff was a game glitch, thinking you were supposed to be on the SSN when it departed, and getting a purple Mudkip at the beginning of your game, thinking it was a glitch and restarting it. That last one could also apply to the number 2 category, but regardless, it's still horrible. There are lots of mistakes that people have made in Pokemon games, but this one is number 1 because it's definitely the worst. Because you delete all of your accomplishments, Pokemon, everything, when you really didn't have to. So there we have it. Those are the top 10 dumb mistakes you probably made in one of your Pokemon games. I know this video may have brought up some painful memories for some of you, but just think about the fact that you have learned from those mistakes and you won't ever make them again. I certainly hope so, at least. What did you think of this video? Do you agree with my list? What are some other Pokemon mistakes that you made? And how many of these mistakes did you make? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you like this video, be sure to leave a like, and if you haven't already, you should definitely subscribe for more fun Pokemon content of all kinds. Also, if you enjoy my content here on this channel, you should definitely check out my content elsewhere. My second channel, Michael Growth, that I mentioned at the beginning of the video, my Twitch, where I do lots of fun live streams, and my Patreon, where if you would like to support me on a monthly basis, you can get access to some really cool exclusive content there. All links to all of those things are down in the description below. Alright, that's all I have for now, so don't forget to check out Quid, and until next time, fans, gotta catch them all!